Hey there everybody, Stuart Knight here with a quick video that I hope will help you boycott what you thought and ideally lead you to the life that you want for yourself and to challenge the way you think, because sometimes the way that we think is not leading us to the best life. I know that this happens for me and I know it happens for you too. So speaking of which, let's talk about that right now. So here's something that happened to me recently. I went down to the beach with my family and there was some kind of like little mini lakes that have been created because of the rain and some of the flooding, and it created beautiful pools essentially for kids to play in, and this one was huge. And so my daughter Olia wanted to go into the water the way she always does, and we didn't have a bathing suit for her. So me being the person that I am, didn't think twice about it. I just said, okay, take your clothes off and go in naked. She is 3.5 years old. And it doesn't even cross my mind, because that's just the background I come from. That's the world that I grew up in. A little child being naked doesn't even faze me. So anyways, we go into the water, and all of a sudden there were these 4 kids that were a bit older, maybe 7, 8, 9 years old, who were freaked out by it. They started yelling at her like, "Why are you naked? That's inappropriate. You should go put clothes on. What are you doing?" They were really attacking her, to the point where I took my shoes and socks off, rolled my pants up, and I went out into the water just to kind of stand close to my daughter. And these little kids were of a cultural background that is different than mine. So I don't know if it's a cultural thing. Maybe it is. Maybe it's not. I don't know. Maybe it's just a parental thing. But I do know that these children got the idea that a small child should not be naked, that we're supposed to cover our bodies, and that we're not allowed to have anyone in the world see us. And that's a whole other debate. I get that. I'm not going to go on stage naked. I'm not going to walk down the street naked. I'm not going to go to a restaurant naked. However, I do think, though, that we need to take a look at ourselves as a species and ask ourselves whether we've gone too far, to the point where it's affecting the way that we see our own bodies, or the shame that we have of our bodies, and the way that we feel like we have to continuously cover ourselves. Or how does that play out in our sexual lives with our partners, or the way that we choose clothing to go to work in? Like, it's a very interesting area, and I think it's worth having a conversation about, because we might walk away from it and think differently. So anyway, I said to this one girl who was really attacking her, I said, "So what's the problem, honey? Like, what's going on here?" And she said, "She's not supposed to be naked. She's supposed to have clothes on." And I said, "Why?" And she goes, "Well, because it's inappropriate." And I said, "Why?" And she goes, "Well, because, well, I wouldn't want to be naked in front of other boys." And I said, "Well, you know what? By all means, you should then wear clothing. That's something that you have every right to believe in." I said, "If you don't feel comfortable being naked, make sure you never get naked." I said, "I support you on that." I said, "But you have to understand that for us, our belief system is different. That's all. And we don't think it's a big deal for her to be naked in the water, or to be naked in public, especially at this age of just being over the age of 3. Anyway, so it was interesting to watch the girl. She kind of went back to playing with the boys. And at one point, the boy was still making fun of my daughter. And she turned to the boy and she said, "Well, why are you making fun of her? You know, you're naked. You don't have a shirt on." And I thought that was really cute. You know, this young 8-year-old girl, because she told me she was 8, was beginning to maybe reconsider some of her beliefs. So here's the ultimate point. I don't think that I've changed this girl. I think that she'll probably continue being probably offended by people who show parts of their body, and she has every right to believe that. I will fight for that girl's right to believe what she wants to believe. However, I think that there's 2 big takeaways from this experience. The first is for really us to really just recognize that a lot of the things that we really believe, we weren't born believing. It was amazing. This 8-year-old girl, you would think she's 55 years old. She was so set in her ways. And the boys were so set in their ways. They could not believe that this little girl was naked. And they'd already developed such strong beliefs about such a big topic at such an early age. It only goes to show that that is a belief system that they have been handed, as much as we're all handed belief systems. And we try it on and we keep it on. We literally wear it, all pun intended. And it's incredible if you think about it, because if that's true for this little 8-year-old girl, well, what's true for her and for all of us as we get older? You know, some people I know, they could have $10 million in the bank and they still won't buy a nice bottle of wine at a restaurant, because they are convinced that there's never enough money to go around, and they are convinced that today is the day they're going to go bankrupt. It's a belief system that they bought into. There are other people that won't marry somebody outside of their own culture or their own religion, even though they're madly in love with that person. And it's because of a belief system that somebody put onto them. And it's just a belief system. There are people who won't work because of their belief system. There are certain people who won't, I don't know, drink a drink or smoke a cigarette or try marijuana or whatever because of their belief system, which is, if I drink alcohol, if I smoke marijuana, if I even just try it once, that means I'm a criminal or that means I'm a drug addict. And it's a belief system. And I have these belief systems too that I have had handed down to me. And we gotta really fight against these belief systems. We have to really step back and ask ourselves, what do I believe? Why do I believe it? And how is it affecting my life? And that's something that I want you to consider first. The second part about this situation that I want you to consider is that if at the end of it all, you analyze your beliefs and you really take a look at yourself in the mirror and you are saying, okay, these are my beliefs and I'm okay with this and these are the ones I want to have. By all means, like I said, I'll fight for your right to have those beliefs. From there, you can't put them onto other people. That's the second thing. And that's the hard part, right? If you want to believe in a certain religion, or if you want to believe in a certain way of spending money, if you want to believe that drinking alcohol makes you a criminal, if you want to believe that a person shouldn't travel and spend money when they have children and they should be putting everything away for a rainy day for those kids. I don't know what it is, like I could go on and on and on. If you believe that, totally cool. But you can't judge other people if they don't believe it, because that's not what they were taught. They were taught something different. Think about that. Like, your thing that you were taught is not right because you were taught it. It's hard to wrap your head around that or to even accept that, because the people that taught you these things are people you loved and love, and people that you admire and care for, and people who you want to be right. You don't want them to be wrong in their beliefs, because then that makes them, I don't know, in your mind, perhaps bad people. But they're not bad people because they only believe what they believe because someone else taught them what to believe. And so somewhere we just have to forgive them for some of the bad things that they've taught us. I know what this is like. I mean, I've got parents that I love dearly, parents that I consider my best friends. And yet there are certain things that they've taught me that weren't beneficial to me. And that's not their fault. It just happens to be that they were taught certain things that weren't beneficial to them. This is called growth. This is called life. So all I ask this week is that you really take a deeper dive into this and take a look at the things that you really think are true. Like, you're supposed to make a certain amount of money, or you're supposed to be married to a certain type of person, or you're supposed to live in a certain kind of place, or people are only supposed to show so much skin, or whatever you actually believe to be real. And just know that all the way back from generation to generation to generation, all the way to the beginning of time, people were taught something that they carried on to the next generation, then they taught it to the next generation and taught it to the next generation. So you believe what you believe because of thousands of people before you who believe certain things, and then they kind of tweaked it, and then the people after you will tweak it a little bit more. But none of it is real. It's just our belief. And these beliefs are important because they do help us survive, and we need to make decisions in life, so we have to have some sort of belief system. But I encourage you to challenge it, to really ask yourself where this came from, because that little girl wasn't born worried about whether or not my daughter was naked. She had to learn that from somebody. And so we all owe it to ourselves to take a step back and look at ourselves and ask ourselves what we believe. The second thing I'd encourage you to do is to make sure that you do not ever try to judge other people for their beliefs, because their beliefs are their own. And I've done this. I've judged other people, like, oh, I can't believe that person's wearing that. Oh, I can't believe that person's spending that kind of money when they've got kids, whatever it happens to be. And we do this to other people all the time, only to our own detriment, only to cause negative feelings within ourselves, only to create toxicity within our own biosphere of our own body. And so we just need to recognize that when we look at somebody and we don't agree with what they're doing, that's an opportunity for us to A, challenge our own beliefs, and to B, just recognize that we don't agree with what they're doing because of what we were taught. Anyway, I think you get the point. All right, so that's something I really want you to think about this week, because all of us are walking through life so convinced that we figured the whole thing out, myself included. And we are only going to miss out on the beauty of life if we don't look at ourselves and ask ourselves what we believe, because it's the only way that we can ever improve. And improvement is something that we are here to do. This is what we are. We're flawed individuals. We're born perfect, but then we develop all these ideas that make ourselves imperfect, and then we got to get back to perfection, because we just have to recognize that all the stuff that we used to think or that we currently think is all just made up. So what parts work and what parts don't? Okay, that's all I'm saying. Long email. This has been a long email. All right, God, I can't tell you how long and how much pain my hands are in from typing this whole thing out. This has been a long video. That's what I meant to say. All right, love you all. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye. Thanks for watching that video, my friend. I would love to have these videos land right in your inbox. If you want to get that, just sign up right here. If you do, you're going to get a free gift, exclusive content, and you'll be the first to learn about amazing things that we have coming up.